Alright, this video is a basic review of fraction and how to do the basic four operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. As we move into trig, those operations need to be automatic for you. You need to know how to handle it in every scenario. So that's what this review is about. Okay, so first, adding and subtracting. If you remember, when you add and subtract fractions, you must have common denominators. Okay? So example 1, I have two different denominators. One is not the multiple of another, so I've got to find the least common multiple of the two, and in this case the least common multiple is a 10. So 10 is my goal, alright? But this first fraction, in order to get 10 in the bottom, I've got to multiply by 5 over 5. So the top is 5 times 1, which is 5, and then I would have 10 on the bottom. The second fraction, in order to get 10 on the bottom, I have to multiply by 2 over 2. So 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 5 is 10, so I now have 11 tenths. It is an improper fraction, but it is simplified, so I want you to leave it as such. Example 2, okay? Two different fractions, different denominators, but what's different is 12 is a multiple of 4, so I only need to adjust one fraction in order to get my common denominator of 12. So 4 times what gives me 12? Well, hopefully you know that that is 3. So I multiply the top and the bottom by 3. 3 times 3 is 9. And over here I already had the 1. So I end up with 10 twelfths. Now this fraction can be reduced to 5/6. So I would expect you to reduce them every time. Now subtraction, same idea. Alright, in this one, 7 and 8, you'd have to go with least common multiple, and that would be a 56. So the first fraction I have to multiply by 8 over 8. So I'm going to get a 56 on the bottom. That gives me 16. 8 times 2 is 16. Minus the second fraction. In order to get 56 on the bottom, I multiply by 7 over 7. 3 times 7 is 21. And so 8 times 7 is 56 on the bottom. So reduce it. I get negative 5 over 56. That's my answer. Example 4. Alright, again, got to get a common denominator. This time it's going to be a 12. Least common multiple is 12. So the first fraction I multiply by 4 over 4, and I get 8 over 12, minus second fraction I need to multiply by 3 over 3, and I get 5/12. Okay, so that's your basic fraction review. As we move into radians, you'll use this quite a bit. Now, multiplying fractions. When you multiply fractions, really it's just moving straight across. Okay, and you can do this. You can do just 35 over 3 times 14 would be over 42. Or, and that would reduce, because both of those are divisible by 7, so this would be 5/7. No, 5/6. Sorry, 5/6. But if you notice that the top and the bottom are multiples of one another, you can reduce as you go, which would do 7 goes into 14 2 times. And leaves a 1 here. And then if I multiply straight across, I'd still have 5 over 3 times 2, which is 6. So I would get my reduced answer immediately if I reduce as I go. On example 6, it's quite similar. 24 is a multiple of 8, so I can reduce that. 8 goes into 24 3 times with 1 left over. By doing that, I don't have to do any crazy big multiplication like 11 times 24. That's not required because now I've just got little numbers. 7 over 33, and I'm done. So I encourage you to reduce as you work through these problems so that you're not multiplying gigantic numbers together. Okay? Now, dividing fractions is probably the area where students struggle the most, but we're going to make sure you don't. Okay? Dividing fractions, you'll hear me say, keep it, change it, flip it. What does that mean? You keep the first fraction, you change to multiplication, and you flip the second. Keep the first, change to multiplication, and flip the second. And then you just multiply straight across. Okay, so look at this one. 3/8, I keep it alone. Change to multiplication, flip the second one. Alright, when I do that, I now multiply straight across, so I get 21 over 8, and I'm done. I've divided two fractions. On example 8, I have 4/9. I keep that, I change to multiplication, I can use a dot or an X, whatever works. And I flip the second. Now remember, if it's a whole number, it's over 1. But if I flip it over, it's 1 over 5. So I get 4 over 45. And that is my answer. Keep it, change it, flip it. That is what you need to remember when you're dividing fractions, okay? Always reduce if you can as well. These two examples you couldn't reduce, but some of your homework problems you can. So always reduce if that is possible. Good luck. See you in class.